Hey there, welcome back to Reddit Cheating Wife, the best cheating stories on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more cheating stories like these. I, 30-year-old female, and my husband, a 32-year-old man, discovered apparent evidence of cheating. I'm heartbroken. I'm at a loss on where to begin. He's working late tonight, or so he says, so I thought I'd drop in and ask for some advice. Sorry for the incoherent nature of this. I've been quite upset and crying a lot this evening. We've been married for 8 years and have been together since college, right after college grad for me. We were a match made in heaven. Many friendships have come and gone, but we have always found happiness in each other. We were both adventurous and traveled together when we were initially married. We argued a little, but not much. We had children. The first planned child was 6 years ago. The second surprise child was 3 years ago. And the third is now 3 years old. It's been difficult to spend time together since having children because both of our parents live a few hours away and there aren't many babysitters that can handle our rowdy youngsters. Husband has a hard, stressful job and has to postpone holiday plans several times in the last 6 years due to a nasty employer. Every day, we saw one another for what seemed like minutes, and our children, while delightful, took a lot of our time and energy. His employer was replaced around 6 months ago. His hours immediately became more acceptable, and his stress levels decreased. Still working long hours and traveling on some days, but it's getting better. We spent evenings together again, but this time something was different. It felt like we were strangers, just housemates with kids. We were just so fatigued from the previous few years that we must have spent a couple months crashing, watching Netflix, and so on after the kids went to bed. It was all incredibly boring, and I felt quite alienated from the man who was meant to be my partner the entire time. So we discussed it. I told him how much I missed him. We talked about how we felt disconnected a few times. We hired a sitter, went on some dates, and things began to improve. He's been more affectionate and attentive. He bought me flowers once more. I was overjoyed, as if I was going to reclaim my companion. I discovered something I didn't think I was supposed to notice around a month ago. He's been talking about this work trip coming up in August for a week. It's been a bit of a sore spot for me because I think of summer as a time for family holidays, not work excursions. But I've been patient with you. However, as he was in the shower, his phone beeped, and I saw an email from Allison with the subject, Our Trip. I felt strange looking at it, but when I confronted him about it, he checked his phone and said it was a spam email. I didn't think about it after that, but I haven't seen his phone left out since. I discovered something more about a week ago. A jewelry store receipt for a substantial sum. Money has never been an issue for us, but I was astonished at how much it was for. I had a horrible sensation in my stomach and, I admit, sought for his personal laptop to see if I could snoop through his emails. But he'd brought his personal laptop to work, which he'd never done before. I was starting to feel nervous, but I didn't want to bring it up with him. Perhaps I was pretending not to believe it. However, I discovered his credit card bill in his sock drawer this morning. Why was he keeping it hidden? You could ask. There were transactions going back a month, all for places that guys don't generally buy at. I totaled them up and discovered that he had spent several $100s on what appeared to be women's apparel and lingerie. I've never seen anything from these stores in our house. So what are they for? He's working more hours, yet he's still gone some evenings. He might spend at least one evening a week with someone else. I'm not sure what to think, but I'm afraid of the worst. Is there anyone else here? Was I too unreachable while our children were younger? Is he joining them on their trip? Is this the Allison you're looking for? What will I do if he abandons me? For sake, he's buying her gifts. Isn't that usually a sign of a man moving on or falling in love elsewhere? I'm at a loss on what to do. I can't spy because I don't know any of his passwords. I could contact his office to make sure he's been there when he says he is, but I'm afraid if I talk to anyone, I'll start crying again. He'll be back in a few hours. So, what will I do? I don't want to raise my children on my own. I don't want to be by myself. Edit. The comments are terrifying me, but I'm grateful to everyone who is speaking to me, even if it's difficult to hear. I've cooled down a little. Read, I'm not sobbing anymore. And I'm going to phone my older sister to talk to a real person about this. She lives a couple of hours away, but we've always been close, and she knows a lot about my husband. I'll try updating again later. Thank you once more to everyone. Edit. I just had an odd talk with my sister. I told her everything, was getting worked up and upset and crying again. She cut me off and said, "It'll be alright, sis. You just need to relax and talk to husband when he gets home." I assure you that everything is fine. Hang up the phone, take a bath, relax, and wait for husband to return home. Then she said she loved me and hung up the phone. What the hell is going on in my life right now? I felt like she just ignored me. She didn't seem to be paying attention to what I was saying. However, it appears that the majority of commenters here are convinced that something horrible is going on. I feel like I'm going insane. Edit. My spouse texted me right after I wrote my edit regarding my sister and the phone conversation. He informed me that my sister had contacted him and that he was on his way home. I immediately panicked since I didn't feel prepared to talk to him. I was furious at my sister for calling him, and to be honest, I felt like the world was collapsing around my ears. I had a nervous breakdown. I had no idea where I was until I heard the front door open and realized I was sobbing on my knees in the kitchen. My husband skidded around the corner, and when I saw him, I burst out crying even more. He knelt in front of me and began apologizing, and I completely lost it. I began shaking my head and repeating, "No, no, no, no," until I couldn't hear what he was saying. He wanted to hug me, and I stiffened my arms, like a child does when they don't want a hug, merely keeping him back. It took a few moments for what he was saying to sink in, but he kept saying, "I'm sorry for scaring you. Please listen to me. You need to understand what's going on. I'm not cheating. Please listen to me," over and over. I finally came to a halt and just asked, "What?" I was simply exhausted and befuddled. It was welcome news. I spotted several comments in the original post that said maybe it was a surprise, so you received the grand prize. Everything came out in the end. He called my sister for advice after our huge chats about rejoining. My sister's plan was for him to whisk me away for a surprise weekend break while she and my BIL cared for the kids. She introduced him to her buddy, a travel agent, remember Allison, to get things started. My sister and parents agreed to take turns caring for the kids for the next week. The jewelry receipt is for a necklace that I will wear to dinner on our trip. The credit card charges are for some expensive clothes and lingerie he purchased for me for the vacation. He took some of my clothes with him to get the sizes right and got a lot of help from the salespeople. He claims they are my style, but they could just as easily be bags at this point. So what's the big deal? My sister advised him that it would be more romantic if he planned it as a surprise. She didn't anticipate my finding out early and fearing the worst. I've had mild anxiety issues my entire life, which have worsened after having children, but this was the worst it's ever been. I've never felt so completely out of control in my life. He didn't tell me everything right immediately. Some of it spilled out in that first moment in the kitchen, but as I realized it wasn't the end of my marriage, I became almost incoherent with relief. But I sobbed so hard that I puked. At the very least, it was on the flooring. After I had calmed down, he told me the rest. We talked all night last night. He showed me all of the emails, showed me our location, and we both got excited. I'm not upset with him, which he appreciates because my sister supposedly called him with a red alert, get home now before your wife calls a lawyer message. She is aware of my anxiety difficulties, therefore, I may have to question her decision to keep this all a big secret from me. I'm too relieved to be furious right now. I'm a little worried about how insane I've become. I believe I need to work on this. It's not typical of me. What am I going to do if a true catastrophe occurs? Some individuals have said that I am codependent, and they may be correct, but that's for another time. For the time being, I'm enjoying my day with the kids and anticipating my trip. Thank you for all your advice and kind wishes. I apologize if I have caused any concern. You are great people to spend your time preparing to assist a stranger over the screen. I pray that your lives take an unexpected yet wonderful turn.